20. What inspires your songwriting? It comes from anywhere. Other music, obviously, the people that you like. I can be watching television and a theme tune or even a little noise in the background of something can come on, and that would be cool. Adverts, go to the cinema and you listen to soundtracks and films and so on. So all those musical things are very, very obvious. But then it can be not just music, obviously, it can be words, a phrase that you hear, something like that, a particular person that you meet that has a mannerism, stories that you hear about other people. Just anywhere. I think the thing that's important is that you have your eyes and your ears and your mind open to anything, everywhere, and don't be too precious about it. "21. Are you aware in writing songs that they may become influential to others? No, is a simple answer. It's only been recently, over the last few years, that I've even found out that my songs were influential on anybody. And it's been a lovely experience to find that out, but perhaps all the more enjoyable for me because I didn't have any idea. So it's been fantastic. But no, when I sit down and write a song, all I think about is what's wrong with it and what I can do to make it better. I am not full of confidence. If anything, I'm riddled with self-doubt, and my concern I'm always convinced that I could do better than what I'm doing, that I could write a better part, I could sing it better. I only finish albums often because the time of release has come upon me and I don't have any more time. Pure was meant to be handed in on a Monday morning, a particular Monday morning, after the record company had been very, very understanding and patient, but finally the day came. That morning I was still mixing and tweaking, I still wasn't sure about it, and just handed it in full of dread, wondering what they were going to say about it. So no, I don't sit there thinking this is going to be influential on everybody else. I sit there thinking, Christ, I hope it's good enough. 22. How do you write songs? What comes first? It's actually varied over the years, so I can't talk about all of the other years because I can't remember actually. With Pure, everything was written on piano. Well, a synthesizer, but it was a piano sound, to be picky. And melody came first, and then the arrangement, and then the technology was added later, so the actual power and atmosphere and drive of the song, the nature of the song, was added onto the melody. I thought it very important that the melody was the key thing, was the starting block of this particular batch of songs, and I wanted to see if that would make a difference, and I think it has. I think it's a different sounding album to Exile in many ways, and I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that it was written melody first rather than melody second. 23. Does modern technology make it easier to write songs or harder? It does both. It's easier because you can correct things, you can play something relatively quickly or badly and correct it and make it perfect. That's a misused tool, actually, the ability to do that by many people, but nonetheless it's a fantastic thing if used properly. Technology can give you an infinite number of choices. I must have in my library of samples something like, I couldn't begin to count really, but say 1,000, maybe 2,000 snare drums and 1,000, 2,000 bass drums. So if you really wanted to get boring about it and plough through them all, you could spend 2 or 3 days just trying to find the right snare drum for the track. Now, that might be a good thing, but I'm not sure that's entirely necessary. So technology gives you the option to really crawl up your own backside with pickiness, which perhaps isn't warranted by the end result. 24. How do you react to other artists doing cover versions of your songs? It's something that I wasn't very used to until recently. It's just incredible. And it really is flattering as a songwriter to have another musician, another artist cover your songs is actually more emotionally satisfying than actually having success with your own music, with your own songs. It's very close, mind you, but I would prefer somebody having a hit with a cover. Depends on who's done the cover as to how much you like it or not, obviously. Some of them I think have just been stunning and brilliant and far better than the original, my original. Others I think have missed the point completely, and and people haven't understood what the song was about and why it was done the way it was done. So their versions have just taken it into different areas, but misguided different areas. And so sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But even the things that don't work, I'm still very flattered that somebody actually wanted to try. 25. Do you feel that songwriting is an important gift? I'm not sure that it's a gift at all. I don't have this thing about songwriting or music in general, actually, that gives it the importance that some other people seem to give it. I think songwriting is something that pretty much anybody could learn to do if they just bothered to take the time. I honestly don't think that it's a gift. Don't think that I'm a particularly good songwriter, and I'm not trying to be falsely modest. I genuinely don't think I'm a particularly good songwriter. I have an ability to do a number of things fairly well, but I can put them together, arrange noises in such a way that it strikes a chord with a particular group of people that like to buy my stuff. And so my talent isn't so much for songwriting as just putting things together in an attractive sort of package for a small group of people. Other people write songs that I'm very, very impressed by, and I think are very, very clever, but I still don't think songwriting, even the best songwriter, I don't think it's worthy of being called a gift at all. 26. What inspired the return to form of the Sacrifice album in 94? Well, Sacrifice was the first album after Machine and Soul, as I'm sure most of you are aware. Machine and Soul being a low point creatively, financially, emotionally, for all kinds of reasons. It was diabolical. And at the end of that, when that album was out, I realised that I was in trouble, and I took quite a long time out actually to rethink things. Why I was in the music business, did I want to stay in it, what else could I do if I wanted to get out, why was I writing songs, was it a good reason, had my principles changed, had my attitude changed. I just looked at every part of my life, not just music but every part of it. That coincided with meeting Gemma, and during this period of deep thought, Gemma was increasingly helpful in making me see things that I'd been very, very shut off from. I always have been embarrassed by the fact that I'm not a particularly good guitar player, and I never thought I was a particularly good keyboard player, and I definitely have never thought I was a particularly good singer. So I was overly aware of these limitations and tried to hide them as the years went by through the 80s. And so my albums became progressively less and less Numan-y, culminating in Machine and Soul, which is hardly Numan at all. And what I'd learnt from Gemma, or what I became convinced by, was that I may not be the best guitar player in the world. I'm definitely not. Or keyboard player or singer. But nonetheless, the way I sing, the way I play, has a certain sound, a certain style to it. And rather than hiding it, I should actually enjoy the fact that it's a bit different. So that was a very, very important thing to learn. So when I went back to Sacrifice, did the whole album on my own, just everything, found that I really enjoyed it, enjoyed the songwriting process. Abandoned any idea of writing songs to get on the radio or to get commercial success. Just try to make it as much as possible a hobby again, the way it had been when I first started. And it worked, and I thoroughly enjoyed making it, and it started me in a new direction, and it's probably the most important 6 months sabbatical I've ever had, because it changed everything about the way I live my life and the way I work my music.